My husband, 35, is a bank clerk, and I, female 29, have a work-from-home job, which I can barely stand since I'm an active outdoor person and like doing gardening stuff in particular. So I figured since I have a background in gardening, I decided to use our spacious backyard to grow flowers and sell them online after arranging and organizing them into bouquets. When I brought this up to my husband, he said this was the worst idea ever, adding this would be a major waste of time and money, and suggested I look for a second job. I didn't listen and started my business little by little. In a matter of 18 months, it started bringing decent money and I gained customers. My husband offered to look at how much I could make in the past months and was impressed. The other day, he was standing with his drink while I was checking my flowers. He talked about what a good job I was doing keeping our business flowing. I corrected him about it being our business and reminded him how little faith he had in my potential to make decent money from growing and selling cut flowers. He was like, "Well, I didn't honestly think your little gardening hobby was going to get anywhere. But now that the business is flourishing, I want my fair share of profit and won't settle for less than 50%. I was puzzled. I asked why he thought he should get any share of profit, let alone 50%. He answered that I was using his soil to grow my flowers on. I said, this is our house, our soil, not just his, since we're married and both our names are on the title. He was like, actually, I owned this house long before you came along, so it's technically mine. I replied that he must be aware it'll be split in half in case of separation. He laughed and joked about how silly I was for hinting separation just because he was asking for something that he so richly deserves, which is 50% of the profit. I said no, and that he was delusional to ask, because even his soil alone doesn't magically grow my flowers. There's a lot of work to it, from picking, buying seeds, and taking time and effort to care for them, collecting, trimming, and selling them, while all he does is sit back. I said it didn't matter to him when I started using his soil. Why now? He said it always matters when money's involved. We argued about it, and he apologized, but only for approaching the subject rudely, but still wants 50%. He's been silent about it since, after stating that he already said what he needed to say, and I needed to make the right decision. Am I the idiot? To clarify, my husband and I both have independent salaries. We contribute equally toward expenses. It's his idea since he had a divorce before. He still has things he owns alone, which isn't bad since money has never been an issue. It's not like he needs money for an emergency or something. He wants 50% of the profit going forward. Not the idiot, and I hope you're consulting a divorce lawyer. Your husband just showed his true colors, and the picture isn't pretty at all. So leave his sorry butt to rot on his soil and plant a new garden somewhere else without an entitled burden. Get your business registered in just your name and look into a postnup. You need to protect yourself here. Not the idiot. This guy has seriously been thinking it's his house, and you just, what, live there by his largesse? You owe him half of everything you make from a venture, he mocked, because the soil is really his. And now he's keeping quiet, waiting for you to do the right thing, meaning what he wants. You have a poor partner there, OP. By his logic, he should give her 50% of his wages because he's sleeping in their house, property, which she partly owns, in order to rest for that job. What a clown. This is insane and a huge red flag. I think the idea of separation should be seriously considered. It's stories like these that make me wonder how long some people are in a relationship before they decide they want to get married and spend the rest of their life with a person. Call me crazy, old-fashioned, sheltered, whatever, but I feel like you really need to know someone before you take that step. Someone you've known for years, someone you've grown up with and have seen their true colors. You should never find out after you've married someone that they're not a good partner. Not the idiot. And as others have stated, you have a major SO problem. Red flags all over. Consult a lawyer and figure out the options you have in case of divorce. Then stop the business. Wait a few months, divorce this selfish tool, take 50% of everything he owns, and then start back up again and make it legitimate. Because to be honest, I see no redeeming qualities in this man. And someone who is supposed to love and support you does not do this. My wife would be like, "That's awesome, babe. I hope you're saving that money, or at least buying yourself something nice for all your hard work. She's never even thought to try and claim any of it. Do you know why? She loves, supports, and respects me, something your SO clearly does not. My son, 19, came out as trans a few years back, and for his entire transition, my husband and I, 44, have been entirely supportive. So is his younger brother. We've lent him thousands to pay for his transition, new wardrobe, and changing legal documents to match his gender identity. We've also cut off and alienated many friends and acquaintances due to their phobia and other similar matters. But that hasn't stopped him from accusing us of not accepting him when we told him that we preferred that he keep the name we gave him. We wanted him to keep the name we gave him because we named him after a very close friend of ours who died when she was 20. She was very close to both of us. She was practically responsible for us getting together in the first place. So when he was born, we wanted to honor her by giving our daughter her name. While his original name is feminine when you use it fully, when you shorten it, it becomes a unisex name. For privacy reasons, I won't say the name, but it's exactly the same type of name as Samantha with Sam for short, which is a name that can be used for both boys and girls. We asked our son to keep Sam as the name we call him, but change the full name to Samuel, since he doesn't want to keep his original name. But apparently, he thinks that us asking him to do that is dead naming him and shows that we are not accepting. I can see where he's coming from and that we won't be changing how we are referring to him name-wise and that it is an attachment to his former female identity. But still, we prefer him to stick with the name that honors a dear friend of ours. Obviously, if he decides not to keep the name, we're not going to disown him or anything. We'd just be disappointed. So, am I the idiot? I'm gonna say you are the idiot. Changing names is a huge part of transitioning, leaving behind parts of them that were not at all who they were. I think asking him wasn't a problem, but you drop it and leave it there once he says no. Let him change it. You are the idiot. Dead people don't care who shares their name. You care because you want to honor this person. But why should your son honor a person you used to know when he doesn't want that name? In short, he shouldn't. He should name himself something he wants to be called. Not the idiot. When your son came out to you and you guys offered support, it opened a communication channel. Expressing your feelings isn't wrong. If you took action based on those feelings, that would be different. Your son pulled out the phobic word a little quickly, considering all your support. But this is probably scary and new for him too. I don't think anyone is in the wrong here. Just a lot of feelings are involved. It's clear you all love and support each other. I'm in a bit of a sticky situation. I've never been good at navigating social situations, and this one has me stumped. I'm 25 female. I just got my first full-time teaching job, and yesterday, one of the other teachers invited us all over to her house for a small get-together. I live in an apartment building and was pretty shocked when she introduced me to her husband, and I realized that he was my next-door neighbor at my apartment building. We've never spoken before. We've only seen each other in passing, waved at each other, etc. So when my coworker introduced us, it was really awkward. He's not at his apartment every day. He comes every few days, never with his wife or kids that I'm aware of. He has 2 toddlers and an elementary-age kid, and I've never heard them. I've seen him go in with a young woman. I'm not sure if his wife knows about the apartment or not. Rent is $2,000 a month plus utilities, but for all I know, he could pay it all through a business account, or she could know all about it. Am I the idiot if I mention something to the wife? It seems so weird if I don't say something. I'm not going to make assumptions as to what's going on. If I do say something, it would just be along the lines of, I've run into your husband quite a few times in my apartment building. Does he have a separate home office? Which I don't think is the case, because their house is giant and he clearly has an office in it. I know the apartment is his, as the mailbox has his last name on it. I've never seen anyone else going in or out of it other than him and the guest he's with. I'm extremely socially awkward. I have no idea what to do here. If I were in her shoes, I'd want someone to tell me if I didn't know, but I'm not sure if that's the right thing to do or not. Edit, I haven't known her long, but she's lovely. I can tell we're going to be hanging out a lot throughout the school year, and probably will become friends with her. I have a piece of his mail, junk mail, that was accidentally delivered to my mailbox a few weeks ago. Should I give it to her? Would that make me the idiot? Not the idiot. It's automatically suspicious he didn't immediately say, "Oh yeah, we are neighbors at the apartment I go work in," or whatever. He has made you complicit in a situation you didn't ask to be in. I would want to know if I was his wife, or at least have someone bring it to my attention and be reassured there isn't anything untoward if that's the case. You have no loyalty to him. You are co-workers with his wife and are building a rapport that seems important to you. Worst case, she tells you to mind your business, and it's awkward for a bit. Best case, you save her from a possible idiot. OP, don't tell her at work that her husband has a side piece, and don't hint around to it and make her ask your questions and draw more attention to the situation. That's humiliating for her and cruel and cowardly of you. If you're going to tell her somewhere private that is not her place of employment, and do it directly, and don't discuss with anyone else you work with, ever. You are the idiot. It's none of your business, and you don't know the lifestyle they lead. They could have some form of agreement, and you mentioning anything could cause potential issues, not just for them, but for you as well. I would also be sure to keep them both at a distance. You're a coworker. You don't have to be friends. I agree. You are the idiot for wanting to insert yourself into someone else's marriage. You don't know what connection he has to the woman you've seen. She could be a family member. You don't know if that's their arrangement. Not every marriage is monogamous. If you've seen him, he's seen you too. He will know it was you. His wife will not be happy you either jumped to conclusions or blew up her marriage. You will not get a thank you. You will get ostracized, and your professional life will be miserable. My husband and I hosted his family for dinner last weekend, and a situation arose where I'm now being called out, and I want to see what you all think. My husband's parents, brother, sister-in-law, and 3 nephews came to eat at our house. About an hour before dinner was served, my brother-in-law pulled me aside. He said that their youngest was being a picky eater and wouldn't eat the lasagna or salad I had made, so he asked me to make this specific dish for him. Not only was this not a quick dish, but it would take at least 3 hours to prepare. I said no, that I could throw on some fries for him, but no extra meal just for him. He told me he wanted his son to eat more than just fries, and as the host, I should go the extra mile to make sure everyone has something. The dish? Chicken tenders and fries just fancied up, and had a homemade ketchup accompaniment. The last time we saw the kid for dinner, he was eating spicy noodles and veggies, but now all he eats is McDonald's and these homemade fries and tenders. I don't remember what site that recipe was for, but the tenders required an awful lot of prep and ingredients. Of course, we had most of it, but that was beside the point in my eyes. The whole dinner was tense because my husband's brother was pissed at me. The youngest didn't eat anything and demanded McDonald's because he was hungry and turned his nose up at fries. Then my husband and brother ended up fighting because he disrespected me, and my husband wasn't having any of it. My husband's parents complained that I made things awkward. This was after dinner. I think it's ridiculous, but are they right? Am I the idiot here? Not the idiot. If parents have a child with a picky appetite and a rude attitude towards eating what's provided, it's the parent's responsibility to show up with food that their child will eat. Your brother-in-law knew his child would not eat anything, provided it was his job to take care of the matter, not yours. This kid is doing a great job of training his parents to jump when he says jump, but that doesn't mean you have to join the same obedience school. And not only did he request a separate meal, but he gave her 0 minutes notice. Did he think she was psychic and had chicken tenders ready to go and homemade ketchup just chillin'? Even with notice, that's a rude request. He's a kid, not Queen Elizabeth. If he's hungry enough, he will eat anything. And the only reason he eats McDonald's is because he has learned he'll get McDonald's when he refuses his dinner. Not the idiot. Picky eating is a problem, but it's nothing compared to last-minute idiot request. As the parents knew their child will do this, they could have planned ahead any number of ways and/or addressed the behavior in any number of ways. They chose to make it your problem and decided to create a conflict rather than accept the accommodation you offered. So he's really fussy and requires really complex recipes, but eats McDonald's? No-brainer. They should have called in at McDonald's and picked up brat fuel on the way. Not the idiot and not your problem. Sounds like brother-in-law likes to let other people pick up the tab for his son's specific eating habits. If this were truly a world-ending deal breaker for him, he'd have asked you ahead of time if his son would even have something he would be open to eating. Don't let anyone gaslight you. Accommodating guests at a meal is all well and good, but not when it's sprung on you on the spot, demanding over 3 hours of prep time. This happened almost over a month ago, and I'm 30 male, unsure if I was an idiot. My son recently started first grade and is enrolled at my old elementary school, where I also went as a kid. We live in a smallish town. As luck would have it, he got the same teacher I had. So soon as I heard it was her, I thought, oh no. My wife told me to give it a day and see what my son thinks. As soon as he told me he didn't like how mean she was, I requested he get put into another class. The main reason is, this teacher is horrible to all her students. I experienced firsthand how awful she is. She was that get in your face and yell at you kind of teacher who made it apparent just how much she doesn't like kids. This isn't even an exaggeration. There were tons of parents who complained about her behavior, but the school never did anything. One parent in particular, because she made one of my classmates wet himself and still yelled at him. She ruined my whole school experience and gave me so much anxiety daily. That's not something I want for my kid, since the school would never do anything about her. A friend of mine who happens to work at the office heard that I transferred my kid out. Due to us being friends, I thought I could trust him and told him partially why I wanted this change. Because of her and how I have a very negative experience with her as a teacher, my son is afraid of her. He found it hard to believe, but that's because she fakes being sweet to the other staff and parents. Word got to her, apparently, because we had a confrontation, and she wants to know why I demanded my son be removed from her class. First of all, I was mad that she was told at all, but I also told her it was because she's an awful teacher who verbally abuses her kids, and many parents have complained about her over the years. I told her a little about my experience and what she put my other classmates through, which is the last thing I want for my son. This was all said with other parents around after school, so people watched and heard everything. The last thing I told her was that she should have never been a teacher. This lady was very quiet. Honestly, it looked like she wanted to cry, but she left. Some friends whose kids also go there agree she's awful, but the reason they think I'm an idiot is I embarrassed her in front of other parents and staff, and I should have remained civil towards her. Otherwise, I seem like any other disgruntled parent. Also, for the fact that she's a lot older, I don't know what that has to do with anything. My wife agrees with me. The teacher asked and I answered, but I still would like to know if maybe I was an idiot for the way I reacted. Not the idiot. She confronted you, so you answered her question. People shouldn't ask questions if they aren't prepared for an honest answer. Also, remember to be careful who you trust. I wouldn't tell your friend/coworker anything else. Not the idiot. She confronted you in front of a group of people, so she got what she asked for. Also, she doesn't deserve your respect just because she's old. Good for you for looking out for your son and getting him removed from her class. What goes around comes around. I think many people will be envious you got to clap back at the horrible teacher from your past. We all would have done the same. If she didn't want to be embarrassed, she should be a better person. A teacher here, and you are not the idiot. Not going to go into the full rant, but people who feel like the best way to speak to young children is to scold them should leave the profession. I would also bet you £1 to a penny, or $1 to a cent if you want, that she knew full well why you wanted the move. It sounds like a vile little bully, and there's one in most schools, unfortunately.